today? All right, and whenever we're simplifying radicals, we are simplifying. The most basic radical is a square root. So what are we looking for when we're finding the square root of a number? I'm going to say, just tell me, what's the square root of 9?
3.
Okay, how do we know that the square root of 9 is 3?
Because 3 times 3 is 9.
All right, because 3 times 3 is 9. We want to find a number times itself that equals a certain number. So in this case, 3 times 3 is 9, so then the square root is 9. I'm trying to get the reflection off of there. All right, so the square root of 9 is 3. Now, the reason why, do you guys agree that if you rewrote that, that really would be 3 times 3? Okay. Now, I want you guys to think about the square root of 18. Can you guys all put that in on your calculator?
If I put my phone sideways, I won't break it.
Yeah, I think you might have to turn your phone sideways. If you have one of my basic calculators, they do not have a square root button. So you do need a scientific calculator. Your phone will work. You can Google just a basic calculator on a Google search, and it will have a square root button.
Can you do it on these ones?
Yes.
Yeah, very
So
nice.
if you have one of those blue TI-30s, you have to
Yeah.
hit second, which is like a shift button, and then hit the X squared, which is around the 7.
It just brings up 3 square root 2.
Okay. Your calculator does
No,
this
my
for
phone
you.
doesn't do it.
All right. So
Did I
you'll
do it right?
have to have work to back it up, but that's where we're going with it. Okay, so if you guys type in the square root of 18 on your calculator, all right, so if I type it in, the square root of 18, I get 4.2426. Do you guys get something like that? All right, so you should get a decimal, 4.246. Now, we don't like that type of answer. No decimals today. But we can simplify this. So, do you guys remember, like, I don't even know what grade you do this in, probably like 4th or 5th grade. Do you guys remember doing like prime factorization where you did like a tree and then you listed all the numbers that multiplied to 18 to make 18? Do you guys remember doing something like this? Where you took 18 and then you said, oh, that's 2 times 9, and then 9 could split into 3 times 3. Do you guys remember doing that? Okay, that actually had a purpose. Do you guys know, whenever you guys break these down, these are actually called prime numbers. Numbers that can't be split up anymore besides one in itself. So this actually does help us simplify square roots. Now, I don't like to use trees because it kind of confuses me, but if you guys look at the end of the branches here when I broke this down, do we have any pairs? We have a 2, a 3, and a 3. Do we have a pair? All right, we have a pair of 3s. So you guys agree 3 times 3 is 9, right?
I remember doing this multiple times. I was in geometry 2 years, so I remember doing this a lot.
All right,
Algebra 1 too.
all right, so 3 times 3 is 9. What's the square root of 9?
3.
3. Pairs become a 3 on the outside. Do you guys remember what to do with the leftover?
You multiply it by the 9, or you put it.
You put it in the radical.
Yeah,
You put it in the radical. So now I will tell you guys, I do not like using trees. I feel like they're confusing. I like to do what Mrs. Hyatt and I call cake. And I think Mrs. Borden does cake too.
Miss Borden did it.
Okay, so let's forget about the tree for a second and let's talk about cake. First of all, did you guys all have some dessert over the break?
Chocolate.
Oh, man.
You know, say I had,
No, it was called.
oh man, I had, which this has nothing to do with Thanksgiving, I had a lemon pie.
Ew.
Oh, it's the best. Lemon is my favorite dessert.
I made a homemade chocolate.
I didn't have peanut butter pie, but I like peanut butter pie.
There's peanut butter pie.
I have.
My mom didn't want to
I've
have
never
it.
had it. Peanut
Peanut-
butter's like my favorite thing in the world.
Peanut butter pie is fantastic.
Oh my god.
Check it out.
I will.
Okay, Camden, turn around. We got to focus. All right, so whenever you are doing cake, what is inside the square root is your base. All right, now we are only going to divide by prime numbers. So prime numbers mean that they can't be broken down into any other number besides 1 in itself. So what are some prime numbers that are less than 10 that you guys know of? What are some prime numbers that you can't break down that are less than 10? All right, I see somebody say 2. What are some other numbers that can't be broken down? 7, 5, 3. Is that it? If we're talking less than 10? You know, say, why can't we divide, like, why would 6 be a bad number? We could divide 18 by 6, but why is that a bad idea?
You can do 2 times 3.
All right, 6 can be broken down further. So when we're breaking down these numbers, we only want to break down by prime numbers so we can split it up all the way to its, like, the absolute base that we can go. So I always recommend starting from the smallest number and working your way up. So can you divide this number by 2?
Yes.
All right, what is 18 divided by 2?
9.
9. Now, can you divide 9 by 2?
No.
No, but what can you divide it by?
3.
All right. And then the only thing you can divide 3 by is itself, and you end up with a 1. You want to divide until you go all the way to a 1, and then I always say that that's the birthday cake, or a birthday candle on top of the cake. That's how you know you're done. So we broke that up, and it's the exact same numbers that we had on the tree. So whenever we're looking for square roots, whenever we square something, that's when we multiply it times itself. So that's why we look for pairs here. And on this one, we have a pair of 3s. So that 3 goes on a pair of 3s goes on the outside because we're essentially taking the square root of that number. That's why we don't need to write it twice. And then any number that is left over goes inside the radical.
Could we do the tree thing if it was easier for us?
All right, if you like the tree, that's fine.
I learned it that way.
If you have done this with trees and you're successful with it, that's fine. I'm probably just going to show my work with cake. You are going to get the exact same numbers as you break it down. That's totally fine. So how many of you guys remember doing this in Algebra 1 or geometry? Because I promise if you've been in geometry, you've done this. If you've done this in Algebra 1. So we are going to simplify some more square roots today. And I really wish I could get that reflection to go away off of the camera. It's just because my camera's right underneath this light. Let's see if it helps if I move it over. All right, does that look better
Sure.
to you guys? Is there less reflection there?
No, there was more reflection.
Okay, let's try another one. All right, let's go with 54. We're going to simplify the square root of 54. All right, so if we want to break down 54, if you took that on the calculator, you would get a decimal. If you get a decimal, you have to do the cake method or tree, whatever you need to do to simplify it. All right. So guys, this is an even number, so what should we divide by first?
2.
All right, so we divide by 2. If I take 54 divided by 2,
27.
all right, I get 27. All right, now what can I divide that by?
3 and 9.
Well, 9 is not prime.
Oh, 3.
So definitely want to go with 3. And then we get 9. Divide by 3 again and get 3, and then divide by 3 and we get 1, and we know we're done because we got our birthday cake. All right, so on this one we are looking for pairs. Do we have a pair of anything?
A 3.
All right, we have a pair of 3, so I'm going to circle my pairs. And I recommend starting from your smallest number and working your way up just so your 3s are all together. So I will show you guys, if you had went this route and divided by 3 first, it would have worked. And you get 18, and then divide by 2 and get 9, and then divide. It actually doesn't matter the order there. I always just like all of my 3s to be together and all of my 2s to be together whenever I divide. So that's why I do it that way. So whenever we have this, whatever number we are circling goes on the outside. So we circled a 3. So what am I going to write on the outside? A 3. Now inside, I have 2 numbers left over. I have a 3 and a 2. So both of those are going to go in. And we multiply them. So the simplified answer here is 3 square root of 6.
Because you multiply the leftover 3 and the 2 that you put under
Yep.
the square root.
All right, so Lane, do you see I have a leftover 3 and a leftover 2? So any leftovers go inside.
So you just multiply them?
Yep, just multiply them. Because whenever we're breaking these down, we're essentially, we're doing division. So to put them back in, we multiply. All right, I think I'm ready to try another one. Let's go with the bigger number. 180. Now I'm going to start down here because I have a feeling my cake's going to be a little taller on this one because it's a bigger number. All right, so guys, it ends in a 0, so what would be a good place to start?
2.
Divide by 2 and I get 90. I'm still ending in a 0, so what should I divide by?
2.
And what is half of 90?
45.
All right, what do you guys think we should divide by next?
5.
Okay, that works. 45 divided by 5 is 9. And then we've been dividing by 9.
3.
And again, divide by 3 and we get 1. All right, so on this one, do we have any pairs?
Yeah.
All right, let's circle them. We got a pair of 3s and a pair of 2s. So guess what?
Multiply them.
A 3 and a 2 go on the outside. Now, do we have anything left over?
A 5.
A 5. So then we just multiply those together. So the 3 times 2 becomes a 6. And then we have square root of 5. Now, do you guys want to know how to check your work? One way that you can check your work here, let's just say that we just wanted to know, if you type in the square root of 180 on your calculator, you should get this decimal. 13.41. I'm going to say, let me see if you guys can see. Try to not mess up with the lighting. So the square root of 180 is 13.416. Now, if you actually type in the simplified answer, you should get the same thing. We're not changing the value, we're just making it look different so we can do other things with it later on. So if I take 6 times the square root of 5, and actually you don't even have to put that times there, you see I get the same answer? So you can check yourself on your calculator. Take the beginning number that you started with and then compare the decimal to what you simplified it to. And as long as you simplified correctly, you should get the same answer.
I'm confused.
Okay, so the decimal, and I know that's really hard to see. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can see the 13.41.
Okay, so when you type in the square root of 180, the decimal's 13.416. When you type in 6 square root of 5, you also get 13.416.
Oh, okay.
Like you'll get, like these two things are equivalent to each other. We're not changing the value, but this doesn't help us. Whenever we break it down, it allows us to do other things later on math-wise. But it's just a skill that we need. So I want to try a couple more, and then I'll let you guys try some by yourself. So let's go with... Oh, this is a good one.
I like your tree.
Well,
Which one? There's two.
Big one.
well, my big tree,
Are you using decorating
it was
that?
it was a pre-lit tree, and I plugged it in, and the lights finally quit working, so I cut them all out. And I'm waiting on my husband to get the second box of Christmas decorations out at home, so I can bring the extra lights that we don't use.
We got a new tree this year and it's ugly.
Well, we have tons of Christmas decorations left over because he went nuts with the lights at our house this year. So,
That'll be me in my future house, just going nuts for the most.
all right. So guys, let's take a look. 196. What should I divide by?
2.
All right, divide by 2. It's an even number. So we can just take 196 divided by 2. Do you guys agree that's 98?
Sure.
All right, that's still even. So keep dividing by 2 until you get an odd number. Divide by 2, I get 49.
7.
All right. Do you guys all agree that 49, you can divide it by 7? And what is 49 divided by 7?
7.
All right, and then divide by 7, you get 1. All right, look at this. We have a pair of 7s and we have a pair of 2s. Where do pairs go? Inside the radical or the outside?
Outside.
All right, so we have 7 times 2, or 2 times 7. It actually doesn't matter which one you write. Do we have anything left over?
No.
Well, I mean, what's that really?
A 1.
A 1, but does that change anything when you multiply it by 1? Guess what? We have no leftovers. So 7 times 2 is just 14. If there are no leftovers, you're going to have no radical. So this is actually a perfect square. 14 times 14 is 196. All right, so the word that we like to use for this, and I would write that down, it is called a perfect square. So the square root of 196 is just 14. And you can double check yourself. If you use your calculator and take the square root of 196, it'll just give you a whole number, 14. So there's no decimal here, so there's going to be no square root. All right, the last one we're going to do together is, let's see. $288. You know, so one thing I like about this, it doesn't really matter the size of the numbers because you're doing the exact same thing no matter what. 288. All right, it's even. What happens when I divide 288 by 2?
144.
144. All right, then use your calculator again. Divide that by 2.
72.
All right, can we still divide by 2?
Yep.
And that's 36. Can I still divide by 2?
Yep.
Can I still divide by 2?
Yep.
Can I divide by 2 now?
Nope.
Oh, I'm running out of room. All right, I divide by 3, and then divide by 3. Oh, I ran out of space. All right, but we got a lot going on here. All right, so we divided by 2 until we got an odd number, and then we divided by 3 until we got 1. Now, look at our pairs here. We have a pair of 3s, so that goes outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 2 pairs of 2s. So I have a 2 and a 2. Now, do I have anything left over?
Yes, another 2.
Another 2. All right, so then we multiply all those together. So what is 3 times 2 times 2?
12.
All right, 12 root 2. Are you guys ready to try some on your own? All right, I actually want you guys to, let's see, how much time do we have?
Oh, 16 minutes.
Let's get whiteboards out. Let's get whiteboards out. All right. Virtual students and quarantine students, while they're getting their whiteboards, we're going to do a few more in-class practice, but if you guys have questions on these, there will be an additional video tomorrow, and then your assignment will be open tomorrow starting at, like, I actually think it opens up tonight at midnight. So
Nice.
if you guys have questions over the assignment, just email me or do a Google Meet with me on Wednesday.